Beauty for Ashes is a deeply emotional and transformational book that focuses on healing from pain, rejection, brokenness, disappointment, abuse, failure, and emotional wounds. In this book, Funke Felix-Adejumo explains how God specializes in restoring damaged lives and turning painful experiences into testimonies of glory. The title is drawn from the biblical promise in Isaiah 61:3 that God gives beauty for ashes. The ashes symbolize sorrow, shame, disappointment, trauma, and loss, while beauty represents restoration, joy, honor, healing, and divine purpose. The book speaks particularly to women, though its lessons apply to everyone. It addresses emotional struggles many people hide behind smiles and appearances. Through scriptural teaching, practical wisdom, personal experiences, and spiritual encouragement, the author teaches readers how to rise from emotional ruins into victorious living. Central message of the book. The core message is, no matter how broken, wounded, rejected, or damaged a person may feel, God can restore, heal, and rebuild their life into something beautiful. The author emphasizes that pain is real, emotional wounds are serious. Many people suffer silently. God does not abandon broken people. Healing is possible. Restoration is part of God's plan. The book encourages readers not to remain prisoners of their painful past but to embrace God's healing process. Major themes in the book. 1. God heals broken hearts. One of the strongest themes is emotional healing. The author explains that many people carry invisible wounds caused by childhood trauma, parental rejection, sexual abuse, divorce, betrayal, failed relationships, poverty, domestic violence, neglect, mockery, loss of loved ones. These experiences often shape a person's confidence, behavior, relationships, and self-worth. The book teaches that emotional wounds can affect destiny. Ignored pain becomes spiritual and emotional bondage. Healing begins when people acknowledge their hurt instead of pretending everything is fine. The author repeatedly points readers to God as the ultimate healer of the heart. 2. Your past does not define your future. A major lesson in the book is that painful experiences should not become permanent identities. The author warns against labeling oneself based on past failures or painful events. I am rejected. I am useless. I am damaged. Nothing good can come from me. Instead, she teaches readers to see themselves through God's eyes. The book emphasizes God can rewrite destinies. Shame can become honor. Failure can become testimony. Rejection can lead to divine acceptance. Many successful and impactful people emerge from difficult backgrounds. 3. The danger of bitterness. The author discusses bitterness as one of the greatest enemies of healing. Pain that is not properly handled often turns into anger, hatred, unforgiveness, revenge, depression, emotional isolation. The book explains that bitterness destroys relationships, peace of mind, spiritual growth, physical health, joy. The author strongly teaches forgiveness, not because offenders deserve it, but because healing requires it. Forgiveness is presented as a pathway to freedom, a decision of obedience, a release from emotional imprisonment. 4. God uses broken people. One of the most encouraging parts of the book is the idea that brokenness does not disqualify a person from usefulness. The author shows throughout the book that God often raises wounded people into instruments of healing. Pain can produce compassion. Trials can create wisdom and strength. Many biblical figures experienced deep pain before fulfilling destiny. The reader is encouraged not to see suffering as the end of life but as part of a refining process. 5. The importance of self-worth. The book teaches that many people struggle because they secretly feel unworthy. Low self-esteem often comes from negative words, abuse, rejection, comparison, failure, societal pressure. The author encourages readers to appreciate themselves, stop unhealthy comparisons, understand their value in God, develop confidence, refuse toxic relationships. A recurring lesson is, you cannot truly live victoriously while hating yourself. 6. Women must rise above oppression. As a strong advocate for women, Funke Felix-Adejumo addresses cultural and societal systems that suppress women, emotionally and psychologically. She encourages women to discover purpose, develop spiritually, pursue education, build confidence, avoid dependency mentality, refuse abuse, become emotionally strong. The book teaches that womanhood is not weakness but strength, grace, wisdom, and divine assignment. Emotional and spiritual wounds discussed. The book touches on various forms of inner pain, including rejection, the pain of not being accepted by parents, spouses, society, friends, family. The author explains how rejection creates insecurity and fear. Abuse. The book addresses sexual abuse, emotional abuse, domestic violence, verbal abuse. Victims are encouraged not to remain silent or trapped in shame. Marital pain. The author discusses unhappy marriages, betrayal, infidelity, loneliness in marriage, emotional neglect. She encourages healing rather than lifelong emotional imprisonment. Poverty and hardship. The author explains how poverty can wound a person, psychologically and emotionally. However, she emphasizes that difficult beginnings do not determine final outcomes. Principles for healing and restoration. 1. Accept the reality of the pain. Healing starts with honesty. The author advises readers to stop denying their emotional wounds. 2. Bring the pain to God. Prayer and spiritual intimacy are presented as powerful tools for restoration. God is portrayed as a comforter, a healer, a restorer, a loving father. 3. Forgive completely. The author stresses deliberate forgiveness as a major key to emotional freedom. 4. Speak positively. Negative self-talk strengthens emotional wounds. Readers are encouraged to speak life, reject destructive words, build healthy thinking patterns. 5. Surround yourself with healthy people. Healing is easier in supportive environments. The book warns against toxic friendships, manipulative relationships, negative influences. 6. Discover purpose. Purpose gives meaning to pain. The author explains that many people heal faster when they begin pursuing meaningful assignments and helping others. Lessons about faith and hope. The book strongly emphasizes hope. No matter how terrible life becomes, God can restore lost years. God can rebuild broken dreams. God can heal emotional scars. God can give new beginnings. The book leaves readers with reassurance that God still cares, healing is possible, and a beautiful future can emerge from painful beginnings. It is ultimately a message of restoration, hope, dignity, emotional freedom, and divine transformation. For more insightful and faith-lifting audiobooks, do well to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching and listening to us today.